Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Bearded Gamers podcast. Today you are joined by Sergeant Dan Apone of the USS Sulaco.
And Private Brent Hudson. It's game over, man. Game over.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about AVP later on. The hunt begins.
You hadn't figured out.
Yeah. We've stopped doing the dodgy accents now because, just
At what
wrong.
point is it borderline offensive to, like...
I'm pretty sure most of America is already offended by our pathetic accents. Anyway, episode 5 feels like an achievement.
Yeah.
Halfway to double digits, I guess. So yeah.
Or do people say the 5th film in the series is when it gets good? Like Fast 5 is when...
What do you mean? I've never heard anyone say that. Ever. Doesn't get good until episode 5.
Well, if you watch the Fast Furious series, like...
No one watches that. Come on.
The first one's good. The second one is like, what were you doing? Third one, you go, seriously, what were you doing? And then the 4th one, you go, okay...
So everybody says that about...
The 5th one is good.
Just in general about films, but actually the only example you can give is Fast and Furious.
The only one I can think of off the top of my head.
Which is terrible.
We are Fast 5.
If you think about Aliens films, number 5, I don't know what is what. Prometheus, which was shocking. So...
Yeah, it's not an exact science, is it? It's more of
no, you're just wrong.
I can
you're just
apply
wrong.
it to Fast and Furious. That's all.
Anyway, what have we got coming up in the show today, apart from AVP and bad American accents?
So we are going to talk about Age of Sigmar Champions, which is a game released
it's a new
by
game.
A little company called Games Workshop.
Well, it's based on their properties. I think it was actually released by another company.
Oh.
The name forgets me. Yeah. Age of Sigmar Champions. What else?
We're also going to do a little feature about the little guys in gaming. So this is little games that you would play as like a warm-up to your feature game of the night.
Yeah, small pocket-sized games, mini card games.
Games that are like...
Games that don't take too long, but are a good sort of filler or whatever. So we're going to talk about a couple that we like.
Sort of 15-20 minutes in length sort of thing.
Yeah.
Something that you would start a night off with before you get into your main event.
Cool. And then we've got Haven't Played It in Ages, in which we're talking about AVP The Hunt Begins.
Indeed, that's a really cool tabletop game.
With minis, which we love.
Yeah.
So on to our first feature of this episode.
Age of Sigmar Champions.
Yeah, so this is a new card game that's just come out really recently.
Yeah, so it's based off of the Games Workshop property Age of Sigmar.
And Warhammer Fantasy as we knew it.
Yeah. Have you played Age of Sigmar at all?
I have played a little bit, but not loads. Not enough to be, proper into it. But we played a lot of Warhammer Fantasy in our time, haven't we?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
We know the universe. We know all the... the races and stuff like that.
Until Age of Sigmar came along and completely changed the universe. They kind of
it's not that different. It's still got the same, stereotypical fantasy orcs and goblins and, undead and all that kind of jazz. So, yeah, it's all based on the Age of Sigmar world, but essentially what it is a deck building trading card game.
Yeah, so this would be on par with like your Magic the Gathering, where you buy a starter pack and then you can buy boosters in order to increase your decks, trade with your friends, that style of game.
Yeah. So they've just launched it, so there's not like a billion cards like there is in Magic the Gathering, which I think is a good thing at this point. You've got the 4 main factions in Age of Sigmar, yeah?
And what are those four factions then?
So you've got Death, so undead creatures, all that kind of thing, ruled over by Nagash and his evil sorcerers and all that kind of jazz.
Because they've now combined it, haven't they? There's vampire counts and...
Yeah, you've got vampire counts. It includes like ghouls, skeletons and spirits, all sorts of stuff like that. I don't know if they've got mummies, but that kind of thing anyway.
Yeah.
Then you've got Destruction, which is...
This is my boys.
You're not using those guys because there's orcs and goblins and ogres and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Then you've got Chaos,
which is your 4 gods of chaos.
Yeah. If you know those guys, Nurgle, Tzeentch, Khorne. Although I think most of the cards that they've done now are mostly Khorne based.
Okay.
Also includes like the Dark Oath chieftains, kind of marauders, barbarian type characters, as well as they've got Chaos Warriors and Khorne Demons and stuff like that. I've seen Tzeentch cards and Khorne cards, but I haven't seen much Nurgle or Slaanesh yet.
Okay, and then the last one is Order, so it has all your...
the new poster boys for Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
So their version of Space Marines.
Yeah.
Which is, they're actually called Stormcasts. Loads of people call them sigmarines or something like that, which is a combination of like Space Marines.
They
and
just like
Age of Sigmar.
fantasy Space Marines to me.
Yeah, there's
It's
huge
not-
knights. It's kind of like your knights in shining armor, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the end of it, it'll probably include all the other factions in order, but the cards that they've released so far just includes Stormcasts, all of their kind of different chambers.
It's a good starting off point, isn't it? For
Yeah,
them?
and the new Deepkin, like which are an elf faction.
Yeah.
But hopefully, we'll see more of the the different races further down the line.
Yeah.
But you got to start somewhere.
Exactly.
So you can you can buy just campaign decks, I think they're called, where you get a pre-constructed deck, which is kind of your starter pack, your starter deck.
So these are quite reasonable price, about £15, and in it you get a playmat.
Yeah, I really like the playmat's really nice. It's just like obviously a paper one, card one in there, but you can see that they'll probably do like mousepad style mats further down the line.
Or I've already seen online. I don't know if they're actually released by the official company, but there's some which are a bit more like. They are cards.
More substantial material.
Yeah.
You get a couple of tokens which you can use to track your life.
Yeah.
And you get your starter faction deck based on whichever of the 4 ones you pick. You also get a booster pack in the starter pack to sort of give you some extra cards to sort of play around with.
Mm-hmm.
But so we picked up 2 of the starter packs so we could play straight away.
So we had Destruction, which is mainly orcs and goblins. So this,
at the moment.
stage.
And then I played as Death, which is like ghouls and all that kind of stuff.
Vampire counts,
that kind of thing. So it's comparative to Magic the Gathering in the sense that you've both got a deck of cards, you've both got a set sort of life point, and whereas Magic you're playing creatures and spells to directly damage your opponent to win the game. And it differs slightly in the fact that in front of you, as well as playing units and stuff like that, you actually have 4 champions. And then 4 blessing cards, and your champions are like what stands this game apart from Magic in my eyes.
Yeah, so your champions will you have a certain amount of points that you can spend on your champions, and your champions are like warlords or like unit upgrades or wizards, and they can give you extra abilities on the battlefield.
They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
So like the generals of 4 parts of your army is a kind of way of looking at it.
Like
so who did you have in yours?
So I had an orc boss. I had mega boss mole crusher.
Just like their version of like a big dragon thing.
Yeah. I got a bone splitter champion, and I got
a shaman. And a war chanter. So 4 guys there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your blessings are like kind of like almost like superpowers.
Yeah.
But you don't get them straight away.
No. So
you have to do special stuff.
Yeah. So your champions in the corner of the card, they have a little symbol, and if you do that action, so there'll be things like
deploy a unit,
use an ability,
cast a spell,
or do some damage, or remove a card. If you do that, you turn it, and once you've gone all the way around, you get the blessing, and the blessings can be quite powerful.
So you had things like Might of Gork, which just does like a ton of damage. You had what was the Call of the War or something, which allowed you to get loads of more orc units and get them on the board, didn't it?
Or I got one which is like gain 4 health and draw 2 cards. So like they're things which
quite powerful bonuses.
But they're not, the good thing about them is that they're cool bonuses which can increase increase what you're doing on the battlefield, but they're not game-winning things. It's not a case of like you get a blessing and you're going to win the game.
Game-changing, is that what you mean? It's not like you unlock one and you instantly win. So unlike in Magic, where you could just play like a whole plethora of different creatures, your champions are like your kind of play areas. Like you have like 4 channels, which corresponds directly to your opponent's mat as well, and he has the same 4 sort of channels, as it were. Yep. So you've got your blessings, your champions, and then above that you can then deploy units and spells, which is what your deck is made out of. Yeah,
or play actions from those
abilities, and stuff like that. So that's what comprises of the rest of your deck. So you've already sort of designed your deck a little bit by choosing the 4 champions,
and the 4
you get to choose the 4 blessings. Then you can customize your other deck, your sort of main deck, with all the different units and spells and actions, abilities and stuff that you can use during the game.
Yeah, so as they bring out more and more expansions, you could like really tailor your deck. So you could go like pure orcs or pure goblins if there's a benefit.
I like the idea of a pure goblin deck would be pretty cool. Yeah. Each faction also has like a series of like keywords which are unique to their faction. So destruction have like that stacking ability.
Yeah, so they can do a thing called support, where basically the more units behind the
cards you play on top of each other
will give you additional benefits on top of what you've already done. And some units can only be played on top of other units.
Yeah, I know you got that one card which is like
a crowded goblin chariot.
Yeah, which you have to play on top of 2 other cards, so it's quite hard to get out. But obviously the idea is it's this rampaging chariot that's coming across the battlefield full of dudes.
I love the idea that
so it does a ton of damage when it hits.
In my head, I just imagine like this chariot starting off at the back, and as it goes down the field, more goblins are jumping on the back, going like, "Hey!"
I don't know whether it's they're jumping on the back of it or whether it's just running them over and they're just getting caught up in the wheels or something. I imagine that's more sort of goblin-like. But yeah, you got all these different units that you can play. And the idea is you customise that deck. Obviously, we're playing with the starter faction, so we just modded the deck slightly just out of the booster packs that we got. Mm-hmm. But essentially, they were those same starter decks. So with the Death, who I was using, I had like a vampire champion, I had some undead champions who were just like normal skeletons. I had a bloody vampire queen, and that was my kind of setup. And then my blessings did all sorts of stuff. One of them, which I like, which gave you the sort of keyword dormant, which means like your guys were totally scared that they couldn't do anything.
Dormant is quite as we'll talk through the game, Dormant is quite a powerful like little ability to sort of use almost.
Yeah. So like in Magic, when you sort of do something with a card, you kind of tap it, don't you? So you kind of turn it sideways, and that signifies to your opponent that it's done its thing or it's done an action.
Yeah.
Or that's what you do with like the mana, the magic mana. So you tap it to show that you've used it. This has like a different mechanic where you actually, when you deploy a unit, every corner or the top left corner gives you a certain ability. So it could be it does damage, could be it gains you health, it blocks damage, stuff like that. And then at the start of your turn, you turn all your cards to the next corner.
Yeah.
So they sort of have almost like a timer to a maximum of 4 as you go through all 4 corners of the card as you turn it around, and they'll do different things or maybe the same thing each time. So you could have, like, for example, you had that big Maw Crusher guy. You play him out, he doesn't do any damage straight away, but next turn he does 2 damage.
Yep.
Turn him again, he does another 3 damage, and then the turn after that he does 4. So he sort of gets angrier and scarier as it goes along.
And there are some cards, like some spells, where you play him and they will not do anything for 3 turns. So 3 turns, they're just not doing anything. But the last turn is something pretty spectacular.
Like Arcane Bolt.
Yeah, Arcane Bolt. Or even the Goblin Chariot. So
so it takes a couple of turns to get there, but when it does, it hits like a ton of bricks. Like the Arcane Bolt, you have to kind of charge up. Imagine like your wizard's kind of like, trying to master the spell or incantation to create this bolt of energy.
But what I also like about it is the idea of Goblin Chariot's like barreling towards you, like going, yep, that's going to hit me any minute now, and when it hits you, you know it's going to hurt. So on your turn, you can do 2 actions. These is play a card from your hand, or you can draw cards. So playing a card from your hand, you can play them in front of your champions to like draw units, or you can play an action. Or even cast a spell if they actually have the spellcaster ability. Yeah,
so like there's champions that are red and champions that are blue.
Yeah.
The blue ones are like your wizards and spellcasters, so they can only play spell cards.
Yeah.
And then you've got champions who are red, who can only deploy units, they can't play spells. But the vampires, the undead, actually have cards which count as both red and blue, so they can do both, which means it's a little bit more...
It's a little bit more dangerous.
A little bit more flexible. So... if you do draw cards, though, you have to do it at the end. So if you sort of forego an action to draw a card.
Yeah, so unlike Magic the Gathering, where you would draw cards that start your turn up to a certain amount in your hand, this one, the only way to draw cards is to not do anything your turn and forego actions, which is kind of like a different way of playing it, I suppose.
Yeah, it's different, but it means you've got you might have turns where you don't have any cards in your hand at all.
Yeah.
So like. You then have to spend that turn just drawing more cards. Do you know what I mean? So you have to think a bit more tactically about when and where you play your cards.
Yeah, but I kind of like that though, because like it's based on Magic the Gathering, like it kind of implies that like you're always going to be able to do something that turn.
Yeah.
Whereas this means that like there will be turns where, like you said, you're just sitting there going, I hope I get a card I can actually use.
Well, that's what's cool about the way the kind of units work as well, is on that turn where I didn't have any cards, I've drawn cards, your units still activate.
Yeah.
So they go at the start of your turn, and they'll turn and do damage and stuff as well. So, and your guys are doing the same. So you have to think in advance. It's almost like it's kind of chess.
Yeah.
Kind of thinking a couple of turns ahead.
So when you deploy a unit out of your hand, the top left-hand corner will denote a number, and that will probably be the damage that you do. A lot of cards, they'll do that damage. Some of them will say on the card. And it's very clear. It's very clear as to what they do. We'll say you gain that amount of health, or you draw that amount of cards. Say, but then start of your turn, you turn that card anti-clockwise, and it will then do the next top left-hand corner worth of damage to that person on the other side.
Yeah, like I say, it escalates over time.
Yeah,
and I quite like that. Just the way it looks as you're playing, you can sort of see your opponent's cards and sort of see what's going on. But
you also know what's going to come up next. So is that as some characters will have they'll attack and then they won't attack next turn, but then you can kind of see like, damn, I've got to stop this guy because in the next 3 turns,
yeah, like the Maw Crusher, like I said earlier, does a ton of damage when it escalates up. Well, luckily there's cards which are like Deadly Chop or Devour, where you get to just remove those cards. But if they don't come up at the right time, that's the thing. Because there is a lot of timing in this game, I've noticed. So that with the champions, you're trying to achieve they call it a quest to unlock the blessing, because the blessing is going to be really good. In the games that we've had earlier today, like I've been like, well, I really want to play this card, but I don't want to play it on this champion, because if I play it on this other champion, it will turn him one time and do one part of his quest. But maybe I can't play it on him because he's already got a unit out or something.
That's the thing, though, like, because you don't know what the blessings are. Like, is it really worth it? Like,
you know what all 4 of them are, but you don't know which champion's got which blessing. So
I know, but sometimes I've actually wondered, like, am I actually sacrificing my chance of victory just to see if I can get this blessing off, which could or may or may not actually help me in the long run, sort of thing.
I guess we haven't played enough games to sort of know what all of your blessings are, because we kind of played it just sort of random and blind, didn't we, just to see how the game works. But the blessings were pretty cool, and it's quite a cool thing to want to do, to make your champions complete their quests. It's quite good fun to do that. So yeah, that I really liked. That's one aspect of the game that I really enjoyed. And the games that we had today as well were really close.
Yeah, there wasn't a case of like someone was. I mean, in the first game, my health went down to 27.
You just like you had the shaman like doing his ooga booga like war chants, which were gaining you health like every single turn. And it felt like I was doing damage, but doing nothing at the same time.
Well, the problem was essentially my shaman was standing there just drawing health from the wire, and Dan got me down 27, and that's about as low as he got me until like right near the end of the game, that's when I started going all the way down. Because my shaman was just,
Well, there was a big lull where every card that I was drawing was not something I could play at that time.
Yeah.
So it really put me on the back foot. I had no units out, so I had nothing that could block or stop your damage from getting through, and it just escalated so bad at that point that you got me down right to like 1 or 2 health.
Yeah.
So that's all you had to do to win, but you'd actually gone through most of your deck.
Yep.
So,
but that's the thing is, I was then towards the end of the deck, and
if you actually run out of deck and there's nothing your deck and there's nothing else you can do, you're actually defeated. So imagine it's like your army's completely exhausted.
Yeah. But what that I mean, like, don't let the fact that if a game doesn't quite go your way, it doesn't matter too much, because they're quite short games. They're 15-20 minutes, so it's not like these big these big sprawling battles where you've got a 2-hour game and the first the first turn half your army's dead. You're like, great, I've got to sit here for another
because we could easily play like 3 or 4 games in an hour and have a lot of fun, which was a big draw to the game for me. I'm not such a massive fan of these kind of style games where you have to buy booster packs.
No,
because it's kind of like gambling. But I'm more than happy to buy like the starter packs and have those decks there so you can have a quick game whenever you want.
I see that's my big problem with these ones, is that they are, much like you said, they're like gambling. You can buy like loads and loads of cards and get essentially nothing that you actually want.
Well, I've got friends who I know are like addicted to Magic the Gathering, who will fork out so much money for cards and stuff like that. I'm not like that. I'm not going to go out and spend 20 quid on a card. I'm looking at you, Bennett. But there are people who do, and I hope that this game doesn't get to that point. But from what I've experienced so far, and it was actually my friend Matt who introduced the game to me, and he'd bought a ton of boosters and sort of customised his deck a lot before. This is before I showed you it. and we played a couple of games where I just used the starter pack deck.
Yep.
And it didn't feel like the games were one way in his favour at all.
Okay.
Even though he'd modded the deck and added in loads of other cards, it was still a really close-knit game.
But I think with these style of games, it only becomes that sort of like, I've got to get all the cards if you kind of allow it to, almost. But
I think Magic sometimes, though, it's like kind of pay to win. Like, there's cards which are so powerful that if you don't have them, then, you know, if you play that person with that card, they're like, ooh, I've got this Eldrazi so-and-so, which taps to do a billion damage, you know, and you're dead. So there are cards like that, whereas I haven't seen that in this, which is what I quite like.
But I suppose in my eyes, like, I would only look at this game as being like, we're going to start a night off, and this is the game that we're going to use.
Yeah, it's another one of those games.
I wouldn't use it as a game of like, this is the main feature of night, because that's when it's just.
Tell you what, this would be quite cool if you were like heavily into Age of Sigmar, and you know you were having a game day or a night of it. You could go, right, let's have a quick ding of Age of Sigmar Champions, and then our main event will have an Age of Sigmar game. That'd be a great games night to have, wouldn't it? So that is Age of Sigmar Champions. So what are our thoughts on it? I know I think it's quite cool, but I'm just a bit scared that it might escalate to that Magic the Gathering level. For me, that would put me off. But like I say, I'm quite happy to play with the starter decks, and I really enjoyed the few games that I've played so far.
See, for me, I would like to get a starter deck. You know, maybe a couple of booster packs. But I'm just a bit like not unsure with it really. And so kind of see how it goes.
Yeah. There's lots to develop. So if we were to review this, let's put it in one of our rating systems. So
what is our rating system for today?
So today, how are we going to rate this game? It's all about champions and heroic deeds and things like that. So if on the far end of the scale we've got a heroic deed being I've accidentally slain a chicken whilst stumbling drunkenly out of the local tavern, to that being awful. This game is dog poo. Then, and the top rating is, I've slayed the dragon, beheaded it, saved the princess, and rescued the damsel in distress, and and saved the kingdom from destruction. That's awesome. Then I would give this game. Let's see. I shot a troll with an arrow, and I've saved the local hamlet. That's
right.
So at the moment, there's my thoughts on it. I quite enjoy it, but it's not up there with some of the other games.
I suppose to me it'd be I stumbled through a dungeon and all I got out of it was this cruddy ring.
Right. At least you found some treasure.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's got hints of like, ooh, is this the One Ring?
Yeah.
But at the minute it's just a ring.
Yeah, it's just a magic ring.
It's just a magic ring.
Okay. Right. Well, that's our thoughts on Age of Sigmar Champions. It's out now. Go and check it out if you want. It was quite good fun.
Yeah.
So on to our next feature. What's that?
It's the little guys.
The little guys.
These are the games which you would play at the start of the games night. You wanted to do a couple of these little games, and when you get together with your mates, you've got a big feature game. So maybe your Imperial Assault campaign, your Legion games, and these are the games that you play. It's like a little warm up to get everyone ready for the night.
Yeah.
So the two games that we're going to talk about today is the Poo game.
Poo. That is P-O-O, as in shite.
And Kittens in a Blender.
Which you introduced me to.
Yeah. Which
I can't remember where I got Poo. Like, I remember having it years ago. I think it was one of those games that I sort of picked up like on the whim with not knowing what it was. Because they're quite cheap, these sort of games. So
yeah, I think they're about... Poo was like £5-10.
Yeah. So you go in a game shop and you're like, I don't want to, I'm not committed to buying, a big board game, but I could quite easily pick up something cheap and sort of easy and simple to play.
That's how I picked up. I just thought like Poo. That sounds like...
It sounds funny.
It sounds like a little funny
we
game.
should probably elaborate really on the concept of it, because all you know so far is that it's called Poo.
Yeah. So what it is you're a bunch of monkeys and the zoo's closed down for the day. You're getting a bit bored, a bit restless. So what do?
You throw crap at each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What else do monkeys do? I'm pretty sure it's not actually what monkeys do. I'm pretty sure when you leave the zoo, they're not going like, right.
No, that's exactly what they do.
Right, Harry.
I think a lot of them do it whilst the zoo's open.
You're going to get it.
So essentially in this game, it's like a kind of knockout game, isn't it? When you get to so much poo, where you're covered in so much crap, you're like, right, boys, I've had it now.
I'm out of it. I'm gone.
So you've got a hand of cards. You're essentially throwing crap at each other, and that crap is in the form of different cards, which have really funny little types of poo written on them, and the artwork is all monkeys doing like really dodgy stuff. Like,
or just suspect faces.
Yeah,
You can just tell, like, there's no actual, like, real pictures of any real poo on the cards.
I don't think so. I've got one here. This is the pellet poo, which just sounds disgusting, but the picture is just a monkey looking the other way whistling. Like he's like, what? I didn't do nothing. You've got bonzo poo. You've also got things like chim chim poo, devil poo.
You got King Kong poo.
The King Kong poo, I think, does the most.
Yeah, that's like 5 worth of poo.
Yeah, and I think it's 20 and you're out or something like that. But there's also cards which are like events.
Yeah, so you've got the keeper, where the keeper comes by and sees everyone covered in poo and decides to hose people down.
Yeah.
So that means you can remove poo. There's have a bath card where basically like you just jump in a little
jump in the pool and
just clean some poo off. Yeah.
The King Kong poo card is literally like this giant chimp straining so much. That reminds me of Roger. I'm not sure why. The grandpa poo. There's so many cool different poos.
There's also defense cards you can play. So there's things like basically you just pull a leaf in front of you. It just blocks
like a block card.
Whatever poo's being thrown at you.
The best one though is what's it called? Where you like literally grab your mate and just put his face in the way.
So that allows you to direct the poo to someone else.
Someone next to you in the circle because you're sort of playing.
There's also one called kamikaze poo where basically you throw a lot of poo at your opponent and you
get someone new as well.
Get someone new yourself as well, which is brilliant.
The shimmy shimmy shake, that's another card, so you can literally just shake all the poo off and it goes on to people next to you.
Yep.
You can imagine the hilarity you can have in the pub playing this little game as well.
There's also another event card where basically someone turns the lights out. So no one can throw any poo at anyone then?
No, it's poo's got on the lights. It's on the lights. There's crap on the lights. So then you're throwing poo in the dark. Oh, and like the other event is the tiger shows up. Like I don't know
what's going on there.
I don't know. I think there's this one zookeeper attendant who's obviously going around all the place. He's left the tiger cage open for some reason. He's obviously quite an incompetent zookeeper, and he's stumbled into the monkey cage. And you would think, well, that's game over for the monkeys, isn't it? but no, they all just turn around and pellet him with poo. So you have to, I think everybody has to then throw poo at the tiger. If you're going to
throw poo, you got to throw it at the tiger.
Yeah, until he pisses off. Yeah. What's the other one there? You can give your mate a hug.
Yeah.
Oh, come here, mate. I'll give you a big hug.
Just rub off a bit of poo on them.
Yeah, and just rub the poo off on you.
Isn't there? There's also a card as well, which is the golden banana.
The golden banana. Yeah, I think that creates or makes you immune to something because everyone wants the golden banana.
But essentially what this game is, it's a real fun little card game which just allows you to just throw poo at your mates.
I've just read one of the cards, so it's like I say, it's just hilarious. So this card is a mishap card. Sorry to interrupt you there, man, but it's just hilarious. The card is called Just a Fart. So you can, as soon as someone's played poo to throw at you, you go, actually, it was just a fart. Actually, you've just shat yourself. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But what you're saying is, the game is just fun, quick.
Yeah. And
15 minutes.
So when I bought this game, I actually went out and bought some little brown tokens.
Did you really?
Yeah. I put in my little box there. I've got a stack of little brown tokens. I have since actually found little tokens which look like little turds. See, the idea is you can.
You
throw
want
them at each
like
other.
the emoji.
Yeah.
Like, without the face on, but like little tokens.
That's what I was going for. But in the end, I just found some little plastic brown tokens, so you can just throw them around at your buddies.
That's brilliant. I think when we played it with coins or dice just to say how much poo you've got on you. But that's a genius idea.
There's something satisfying though about playing King Kong poo and just getting 5 tokens of brown tokens and throw them at your buddy.
Nice. Well, at least you're not throwing real crap at him. So yeah, we played that a few times. I've used it to introduce people to sort of games as well because it's just a little fun game that's hilarious at the same time.
Yeah.
So you can have a laugh playing it, and a lot of the time when you say, just fancy playing a game, they're like, "What, Monopoly?" You're like, "No."
It's one of those things that you can just go, "Hey, look, games are fun and they're quick and they're easy." They may not like that particular one, but that's what the great thing about it. They're little games that you can play. You just got to find the right little one. If you want to introduce someone to the game, it's the right little one that will like go to their tastes.
Yeah. That's not to everyone's taste. It's a bit of toilet humour, but
Exactly,
it's still good fun. Now, this next game we're going to talk about is funny because Kittens in a Blender. So the last time we played this was when it was me, you, and our other halves.
Well, yes.
And your other half, what is her favourite thing in the world?
Kittens. Now, the interesting thing about this, though, is that...
What's this game called?
Kittens in a Blender.
In a Blender.
Now, the interesting thing about this is that Rach actually picked this up for me because she said, I really like cats, I really want to play a game that involves cats.
So, hang on.
But the thing is,
she's virgin on Crazy Cat Lady already. And she picked up this game thinking you'd enjoy it.
Well, no,
she'd like it because it's got cats on it. Did she not read the full title?
Well, that's the
thing. Did she just see kittens and think, this is a game for me?
So the blurb on the internet is like, says, oh, it's a nice little game for people who don't like cats. They're more dog people. I'm thinking, that's not Rach. Rach is a cat person, and here we are playing Kittens in a Blender.
Yeah, she's the sort of girl who texts you pictures of crazy cat play areas that cost £100. I'm like, why would you buy that? Just mental. They never use the actual thing.
They do, though. They do. My cats do.
Has a cat ever actually used an actual cat scratching post, or do they just scratch the shit out of your sofa?
I've got to say, I have scratching posts all over my house, and they've only scratched the sofa once.
That's probably because you've bought 20 scratching posts and given them no other option.
I basically put all the scratching posts around my sofa. In order to get onto my sofa, I have to climb over scratching posts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Just one giant scratching post around my...
So what's this game about then, Brent?
Right,
tell us what Kittens in a Blender is all about.
So Kittens in a Blender, you essentially have a whole bunch of cats that are in the kitchen. Imagine like a Crazy Cat Lady's kitchen. And
just left the blender out.
Just left the blender out. Silly. And there's you actually use a box for this to actually play the game. So
yeah, that's quite clever actually.
Yeah.
I think.
So on in one box is the blender. On the other side is like a safe zone, like a little cat, the cat basket, say,
full of catnip.
And in the middle is the work surface where the cats are. Oh, you could. So be
they're
in
all
danger.
like playing around on the kitchen surface. There's a blender out at one end of the table, and you've got a safe zone at the other end. And
you're split into different colours. So I think there's up to 4 or 6 players. And the idea is that your colour kittens, you want to be able to save them, and you want to kill the other team's kittens, and put them in the blender. So on your turn, you can play cards from your hand to you can play cards directly into the blender, or directly into the box, or directly onto the surface. It's one of those things you can think tactically. It's like, right, I really want to get rid of Dan's kittens. Let's say there's 3 of us playing. But I don't want to play them directly into the blender because if he's got them working, it's going to put them directly in the blender as well. So I'll put them in the middle, and then I'll move them into the blender later on.
Yeah, because there's cards which allow you to move cats from one location to another. So you think they're safe. Yeah. But then there are cards that could move them straight to the blender.
Indeed. There's also a card which is the dogs in the kitchen. So this allows you to switch your whole hand with someone else to left or right, depending on.
Because you could have multiple different people's kittens in your hand.
Yeah, so
like there's like green, pink, different colours.
Yeah.
So if you play one from your hand and it's one of your opponent's kittens, you probably want to put it in the blender.
Yeah.
But they could have cards of yours, which they've put your cards in the blender.
Exactly.
The artwork's quite nice on the cards as well. They've all got different style kittens, and conveniently they've named them all as well.
Oh yeah, they
have
quite
nice. So there's a
cool
little kitten called Goofball or Pixel.
Cringe, Stone Cold.
Stone Cold? There's not one called Stone Cold.
There's one called Stone Cold.
And he looks like a pussy. Well, obviously.
But the idea is like, so you can play cards that allow you to move the kittens from one place to the other, and then every now and again you can play. There's the
push the button,
blender.
Surely.
Yeah, so you can play. You can push the button, and any kittens in the blender
instantly die.
Any kittens are in the box are saved, and the idea is that each kitten that's saved at the end of the game is 1 point. Each one that's killed is -1 point.
So the idea is you've got to save as many as you can of your colour and kill as many as you can as the other players.
There are some counter cards to the blender, which is where basically someone goes to the blender.
One of the cats suddenly pulls the plug out.
Yeah. or the parent in the room goes, "Oh, don't do that."
Surely if there was a parent in the room or an adult in the room, they'd be like, why the fuck is there 30 kittens like hanging around in the kitchen? I only had one cat this morning when I left. Yeah, so quite another fun little game.
It is really great if you want to play a game against Rachel because you instantly win because you don't want to kill any kittens.
She doesn't want to kill any kitten. Have you actually played it 2-player with her?
Yeah.
Really? I bet that was a landslide.
There's also a expansion to this as well,
Right.
which adds
Kittens in a toaster?
I think it's called. I think it's like some like cocktail or something like that. Essentially, it adds fruit. So the idea is that you can in the blender you can.
This is getting more and more disgusting.
You can add fruit for additional points.
What? So the blender ends up blending up kittens and fruit to make kitten cocktails.
Smoothies, cocktails, whatever you want.
Oh my god! Don't buy that for her, please. No.
But essentially, it's another one of those games. It's 15, 20 minutes at that.
Yeah.
Everything in the box is what you've got everything you need there.
And again, 10, 15 quid, or
Yeah.
something like that. Easily pick that up. It's a nice little set.
Yeah, and if you want to play against Rachel, it's an easy win.
Yeah.
Because you're fed up of losing to her Uno.
Yeah. Well, that's right.
Just play this. Away you go.
Winner. Chicken dinner. All right. So that was Kittens in a Blender and Pooh. Couple of little games you can use to get your games night sort of kicked off.
Yep.
And we might come back to this feature another time, talk about a couple more little games you can play.
Definitely.
Excellent. So what time is it now?
It's now time for...
Haven't played it in ages. And what haven't we played in ages this time?
A lot of stuff. But
there's loads. I wish we could play more games.
but more importantly today, we're going to talk about Aliens vs Predator.
The hunt begins. So our mate Lance, he's seen this on the shelf every time he's come round, and he's been like, "Oh, can't wait to play that. I want to play Aliens vs Predator." So, so we thought there was 3 of us on games night, so we thought, well, this is the perfect opportunity to play Aliens vs Predator, which is a free-player game.
It is, because there's aliens, predators, and then the humans.
Humans. So I took on the role of the predators, hunting everyone else.
I took on the role of the really cool aliens.
The aliens, the xenomorphs.
Because they sort of appeal to my nature. I'm like in fantasy.
Are you actually an alien?
I like,
is that what you're saying?
No, I like horde-based armies. So I like the idea.
True, yeah.
I like the idea of just throwing bodies at something.
Because you love painting so much. I just want to paint all the models.
The more the merrier, I say.
And Lance played the Marines from Aliens movie. They essentially look just like the guys from that, don't they?
Yeah.
So this is I picked up at Salute a couple of years ago, but it was actually the 2nd edition version of the game. Comes with basically everything you need in the box, all the minis, all the tokens and everything. There was a Kickstarter before that, which
for the 1st edition.
Yeah, for the 1st edition, but that had a lot of controversy around it. Like, the company didn't do great, pledges weren't fulfilled, and a lot of people got a lot upset. But obviously, the company powered through and delivered eventually the 2nd edition, which sort of put a lot of rights to those wrongs.
You said controversy, and I was somewhat excited, and then ultimately, like, oh, okay.
Well, I don't know the details.
Oh, that's fair enough. I was like, ooh.
I think that basically the company went out of business, or they'd run out of money, so they couldn't even afford to ship the games.
Oh, that's
And my friend Matt, he'd actually pledged it at that point. So Salute, about 3-4 years ago, there was people going to see the company just to try and pick up their stuff because they weren't shipping it. Anyway, that's besides the point. We hadn't played it. Well, I hadn't played it in a long time. You'd never played it. Lance has been like, "Ooh, I want to play that so much."
But it's such a, it's such a cool universe. Ever since they were sort of combined. It was Predators 2 that they were even hinted at the fact that aliens even existed at the same time.
It's true. Yeah, it's a shame the movie sucked, but
that's the only thing. It's like the aliens films are amazing. The Predator films.
Well, 2 of them are amazing.
Well,
the rest are pretty bad.
Oh, sorry. Outside AVP, the ones that this is,
No, Alien 3 is pretty bad. Alien Resurrection's awful. I mean, the only saving grace in that's Ron Perlman in it, and there's that cool scene where they're swimming under the water and the aliens are in the water. Never saw that before.
True, yeah.
Other than that, it had the weird baby alien thing. That's like.
So what are we on about? There's only one good film out of all of them.
No, 2. Alien and Aliens and Predator is one of my all-time favourite movies. It was in my top 10.
Go to the chopper.
Yeah.
We've actually just watched just a whole bunch of Arnie quotes in that film, haven't we?
Yeah, because it's just to get us in the mood to talk about Alien versus Predator. So the only downside with this game is it is a free-player game, and rarely do you have 3 people to play it. That's the big downside to this game. But we did. We set it up. It's got really cool artwork and stuff for all the corridors. So essentially, you're on a doomed ship there's an alien outbreak. Predators have also been like, ooh, there's a bit of sport over there.
Go over there.
Get me some hunting going. So they sort of lock on to the ship. And you can play it as an ongoing story, but we were just sort of doing an one-off mission.
It does have some, so you can play out of the box, with the miniatures you got, or you can do this essentially scenarios.
Yeah, like I say, that's part of the story. So we just picked one of them really at random. I had 2 Predators, one with a smart disc,
yeah,
the other with the claws and the hunting spear.
Very much like elite-esque warriors.
Yeah, so I only had 2 guys.
Yeah,
and you had what? 30 aliens, something like that.
Yeah, something in the region of that. I had like a couple of stalkers. So these are like very, very quick guys. But
I can go a bit faster.
Yeah,
but they're a bit weaker hitting wise, aren't they?
Yeah, but they outriders. And then I had just a ton of just your general
sort of infant warriors, I think they are. And then we had our mate Lance, who was playing the Marines. He had a couple of guys with pulse rifles, like the old boop, 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 motion tracker, a smart gun, and a flamethrower, which was the sort of bane of your game, wasn't it?
Well, they are kind of designed to fight. I mean, you wouldn't fire a flamethrower at a predator. It wouldn't really do a lot.
Probably not, but it does incinerate a lot of aliens.
It does.
So the board was set up, and we all had our...
the pieces of
You're quoting Lord of the Rings now. Completely different universe. Anyway, so yeah, Lance was down in one corner, and you get like your objectives of what you're trying to achieve, and we thought it'd be cool if we didn't know what the other factions were trying to do.
Yeah.
So we tried. They're all written on the same page in the book, so we kind of like covered up the other objectives. So it gave a sort of air of mystery, because obviously you wouldn't know what the aliens were up to or what they were trying to achieve.
No. I've got to say, that's the only thing... this game isn't designed for people who are sort of new to gaming. You have got to have a knowledge of gaming in this sort of one.
It's quite an in-depth
game.
And
you've got to have someone who's played this game a couple of times if you want to introduce other people to it as well, because there was...
a lot of rules looking up when we were playing it again, because we hadn't played it in so long, or I hadn't played it in so long.
And there's a rule I think that I actually got wrong for my guys, actually, but we'll talk about that later. But
we still had a fun game though.
Yeah, it's a really good fun game. The miniatures are beautiful, but there was like I said, you were looking at the objective, and the amount of times I'd go, what am I trying to do? I mean, like, I always go into game like I've always like set like a pre-objective for myself, like I want to wipe out Dan, or like I want to kill that guy on Lance's team.
Yeah, but in order to win the game, you had to actually fulfill your objectives, which were like sabotage the escape pods.
Yeah,
you had to like infect a couple of areas,
rooms.
Yeah. Whereas the Predators, I had to take trophies. Obviously, that's the main thing, and to do that, I have to like defeat someone in close combat.
Yeah.
And then, as long as there's no one else around, I can rip up their skull and their spine.
Get your little polishing kit.
Yeah, get my little polisher out. And then I also had to like stop the humans from being able to escape or something.
So I just love the idea. You got 2 predators there, and one of them's going, kill these aliens. The other one's going, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Just going to polish this up.
Yeah. These skulls are going to look nice on my mantelpiece. And Lance's objective, I can't remember what it was. He had to get to multiple locations on the map to restore power or something like that. But for him, it looked almost impossible. He was stuck in one corner, and there was like 2 main corridors. Down one corridor was where I was, the Predators, and then up the other end of the corridor was where you decided to go.
Well, I think the thing was that the objective site looked quite easy, but what essentially the game divulged into...
for you? It wasn't easy for Lance.
Well, because it was. Because I essentially moved down the corridor, got to my first objective room, done that, and then after that I was then faced with everyone else. So I then thought, well, it's just killing fields.
But what's cool about the game to start off with is you don't put your models on the board straight away.
That's a cool feature. Yeah.
You have like blips. So if anyone's ever played Space Hulk, similar to that. So you don't know exactly what is there. You just know something's there.
But it's also taken straight from the film. So everyone remembers the great scene where the Marines are in that little room and there's a blip, blip, blip.
Yeah,
getting closer.
10 meters, 8 meters.
Oh my god, they're in the room.
Yeah, I love Aliens are so good. So that's what's cool about the game, is you can recreate those scenes. So Lance was essentially had his guys tracking off, and I, as the Predator, could use like vocal mimicry, it's called. So I have multiple tokens to represent my 2 guys.
Yeah.
So I can sort of throw you off the scent, as it were.
The amount of times that made me laugh. You were playing and you move stuff and you go, hang on a second, got to make sure. Yeah.
Pick up the token to look what it was to make sure it was a predator or not. So they'd be like, so that one's the predator? But hang on, I'm just going to switch these tokens around. And then obviously the Marines, we didn't know where they were either. No. But the Marines' special rule is that whenever one of them gets revealed, so whenever anyone goes into line of sight, you reveal that token and see what it is.
Yep.
But the Marines' tokens are all the same. So they then get to kind of react to what is best needed. So the one that got revealed first, with Lance, was down at the end of a really long corridor. So he was like, well, cool, I'll have that as my smart gun guy. Yep. And he can be on sort of guard, sort of overwatching that corridor, which made it quite tough for you.
It did, yeah. Because it's a really long corridor. And what's quite cool about the aliens is much like in the films, you can climb through the vents. So you can kind of get in the back door around places.
And there was a back door to get into the room where Lance was, wasn't there? And he was like, oh shit, let's weld that shut, quick.
Yeah, so there was a point in the game where all my guys had climbed through the vents into this one room. And the only way to get into this room was through a vent or down the corridor of death.
Yeah.
And he'd welded up the vent.
He'd welded up the vent shut, so you couldn't go that way.
No. So then all my guys were basically going, right, we've got to run. Some of us are going to die, but ultimately we're going to get into this room.
But halfway down the corridor was another corridor coming off, which is where I was, which is where the two predators were.
Yeah.
And I was kind of stuck in a sort of similar position. So I had one of my predators like run round, and you get two actions in the game, and it's alternate activation, so it's back and forwards. Although obviously I've only got two guys, so once I've activated my two guys, it's the rest of the Marines, and then it's the ton of aliens that are left. So you're going to get more activations than us. So I decided to sort of cane it around the corner, throw my smart disc, and I was like, yes, I can. There's like two Marines in that room. I'll be able to get both of them. But yeah, I think at that point, Lance pulled my phrase, which is getting used a lot now, card bullshit. Because you also have like tactics cards, similar to other games we've talked about, which can affect the game. And he had one that was like extra armor or combat armor that allowed him to get a better armor save, basically. And it always uses a D20 system, so stat-wise, you're always just trying to roll under your stat.
Yep.
So yeah, he managed to dodge all that, and I was left out in the open at that point, I think.
I split my guys up into two groups. Initially on the first turn, I was gonna go have one side because my two objectives are kind of like in opposite corners. I sent a huge one of my guys up one side, and the other guy's gonna go the other way. Dan managed to booby trap the door, which then meant that it's like, well, if I go through that door, my guys are all. Oh yeah,
trapped your guys behind it.
Yeah.
Because I knew there was a bunch of aliens coming down, so yeah, I had a card which allowed me to like shut one of the doors.
Yeah.
And obviously, aliens aren't clever enough to
open doors.
Press the button, apparently.
Well, essentially,
no, you have to cut. Like use your claws to fight your way through.
And like the more aliens I have, the easier it is.
Yeah.
So I had to then divert all my guys. Essentially, had to go down the same way, which just created this like
corridor of acidic blood.
Yeah. Because every time, like much like in the films, in fact, when aliens die, their acidic blood will cause a pool of acid.
Yeah, there's a chance. You have to roll, I think. Yeah, and there's a chance that it creates acid in that space.
Yeah.
And if there's a human in there, a Marine or a Predator, there's a chance they get damaged by it. But I think most of the time your guys were getting shot at the end of a corridor. Because the Marines have the ability to kind of put their guys on Overwatch, so they could do nothing on their turn, and then as soon as something came in their line of sight, they could shoot them.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool. Against aliens, that they don't really have much choice. But the Predators have a rule where when their token is revealed, they can actually place their Predator within one space of that token.
It's not quite in the position that
so I could go into a corridor. So if I moved to a space which was at the end of a corridor, like a T-junction kind of thing, and he had a guy at the end of the corridor, and then I got revealed, and then I could then actually jump to the space past that corridor.
Yeah.
So I was actually safe because he wouldn't be able to shoot me because he wouldn't be able to see me.
I suppose it represents the cloaking that they have.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
So it gets to a point where, first you're moving just your blips around, and then all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Everyone gets revealed, and we end up, shooting the crap.
You basically
out of one another.
Screw your objectives. We're just gonna kill everything.
I think at that point my objective was I'd got one trophy. I think I killed one of the Marines. It was then at that point that the other Marines were like, right, don't go out. Let's get back in, hunker down in this room.
Yeah.
Which meant they weren't going to achieve their objective. But Lance bless him. I think he was got a bit nervous that there were so many aliens coming down.
Well, it is quite scary because, like, so the humans only have like 5 guys. Aliens have a load. I mean, I know that they go down like paper, but the fact is like you've only got 5 guys. And you don't want to commit.
Well, the idea is you've got to try and swarm the enemy, so there's
Yeah.
too many of the aliens to take out. But I think your problem was you sort of trickled them down the corridor, so a lot of them died before they could get there.
Yeah.
And at this point, your aliens who I'd sort of shut the door on, they'd got through the door. They'd managed to sort of break it down, force it down, and that one of my predators was left there, and he'd already acted.
Yeah.
So he was kind of like just defending himself.
He was at the mercy
and you just
of
like,
the
right, one alien moves in and attacks, the other alien moves in and attacks, and then they just kept coming.
Yeah.
And eventually he just went down. Just quite a cinematic moment.
It was, yeah.
See this, predator trying to do his best to fight off these hordes of aliens, but he wasn't.
That was a
good.
victory in my eyes.
Yeah,
I didn't do all.
I did take down quite a few of the
My
aliens.
boys went back to the alien queen and like, he failed, and they go, "We took down a predator. What more do you want us to do today?"
No, I think all of your aliens died in the end.
Yeah,
didn't they?
yeah.
Which left me with the one predator, and then I think at this point Lance had 2 or 3 guys left in his room, and he'd decided I'm just gonna bolster this room. So I think he welded the door shut again and left a couple of guys on Overwatch. So as soon as you opened the door, the other guys would be like, "Let's rock!" and just pummel me full of bullets. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I couldn't win. I thought, I'll send a predator in. He's got a smart disc. Maybe he can do it. But no, I think I failed. He went down, and it was a Marine victory.
Yeah.
Good fun. We've got to about the events. So there's an event every time as well, isn't there?
Yeah, well, this is one of the things that really kind of hindered me because some of the events essentially made my aliens not able to really do a lot.
The first, 2 or 3 events were all like gravity malfunctions.
Yeah.
Or like loss of gravity or low gravity, which meant movement became a problem. So at the start of the game, we couldn't get into good positions.
Yeah, and also a lot, the aliens is all about manoeuvring into the right position. Like it's kind of key for them. So right at the start of the game, they're kind of unable to do a lot, which is just one of those things with
with those events that were in place.
Yeah.
There's also other things that can happen, like suddenly the doors like slam shut, and it adds an element of sort of fear and element of surprise to the game.
Yeah,
which is quite good fun. So I had a lot of fun playing this game. The rules are a little bit complicated, or they're not necessarily laid out well in the rule book, I don't think.
No, I mean, it's definitely one of those games where you wouldn't pick this up as like, hey, I'm going to get into gaming.
Yeah.
This is my first thing. Yeah.
I mean, it took us all of that evening to play.
Yeah.
And we had to refer to the rule book quite a lot.
And there were also some things we got wrong as well, which, when we play again, we could just,
But I mean,
next time.
I do want to play it again.
Definitely.
I think the models are amazing.
And also as well, it's like, so you've got a story mission, which is what we play.
Yeah, so we can play the campaign. So if it's 3 of us again on a games night, then we'll crack this out again, I reckon.
But you also said there's a skirmish version of this game as well.
There is. So you can get a rule book from Prodos Games website, which essentially takes away the cramped corridors of the USS Sulaco or Theseus, I think it's called in the story, which is essentially the spaceship, and you can play like a Warhammer, like a Star Wars Legion, like a Game of Thrones Warhammer type game, which I think could be good fun as well.
Yeah, it could be interesting to see what it's like.
Because they've done loads of other models. So we've just got the base set, which has got 20 or 30 aliens, 5 Marines and the 3 Predators.
Yeah.
But they've done a lot of models of like the Alien Queen, Pred Aliens. You've got like the Power Lifter from Aliens and all that kind of stuff as well. You've got Face Huggers, like Alien Royal Guard.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of cool stuff. So you could put together like an army,
cool little army with that,
and and play a skirmish version of it as well, which we might try at some point. I reckon might pick that up. Definitely like to pick up the Face Huggers. I think that'll add a very different element to the game.
Yeah,
because they're the only ones who can actually stay in vents.
Yeah, so when the aliens move through vents, they have to they
can't end their turn, can they?
You have to end the other side of it. But the Face Huggers can kind of sit in the vent and be like,
and then wait for the opportunity to pounce. And I know that they do have, I sort of looked at the rules, they have a little rules where if the facehuggers actually kill an enemy, they get to basically impregnate it.
Yeah.
And then the alien players get to add an alien to their army or their force, depending on what it was they killed. So if the facehuggers managed to kill a predator, God knows how that's going to happen. Then they would get a pred alien added to their ranks.
Oh wow, okay, that's pretty cool.
Which is quite smart, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've themed it really, really well to the game.
And the models are
to the film.
The models are really nice for this game, actually.
They're all colour coded in the box, which is nice. And
they are colour coded, but I don't. It's one of those things where you go like, I'm not going to look at the board and go that's my guy. You go, that's clearly an alien. It's not marine, is it? But I like the fact they are like that because it makes it easier. At a glance, you can easily see these are my guys, these are your guys.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to painting them up. But like we said before, got so many models to paint up.
Yeah, and in the back of the book, actually, they've actually painted up some models, and they have done a really good job on painting up these models. So they will look amazing painted up.
Like I say, it's a lovely game, lovely franchise game.
It is.
I say lovely. That is not the right word to use.
Lovely. Oh, and
it's a lovely game.
I do love the aliens.
It is cool.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun, but if we were to put a rating on it, well, if Aliens is amazing, and Prometheus, that was pretty bad. What's the new one? Covenant. That was even worse.
I thought Alien 3 or 4 was the worst one.
No, 4 Resurrection's pretty bad. Then I would say this is probably Alien 3.
I think this is
not as good as Aliens, but not as bad as Alien Resurrection.
I think this is an Alien as in the first one, as in the fact that it's got hints of a really good game and there's lots of stuff you can do with it. But I think it's the fact that it's the complexity of the game that's really holding it back for me, because it means that it's kind of hard you have to play a couple of games to really sort of understand how the game actually works.
And get your head around it.
I mean, if you compare it to other games that we've talked about recently, like, Song of Ice and Fire, Star Wars Legion, they're games you can get out of the box, play, and they've got
a much simplified system.
You can kind of get it and go, oh, I understand what's going on. Whereas this one, there's a lot of you going like...
There's a lot of cards, a lot of stats, a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot of special rules. You just like, okay, I have to go back to the book and reread, and now I have to reread what my objective is, and it is a good game. I can see it. There's a foundation to a really good game here.
I think once we've probably played a few more games, then we'll get our heads around it a bit more.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Definitely.
Just not great. Like I say, Alien 3.
Well, that's what
it's
I say,
good,
Alien.
but it's not Aliens.
Well, I say that's not Alien. It's like Alien. Like, it's good. It's a good start. But
no, Alien is brilliant.
No, it's not.
It is. Sorry.
Sorry.
Right, we're gonna have to cut the podcast because I've got to make him watch Alien again.
No, sorry. Alien is good, but like it's more funny than it is a horror film. Like that part where he's in the vent.
Are you sure you didn't watch Mac and Me instead?
And he shoots out his hands. He's like, "Give me a hug." Every time I watch that, I just think, that's comedy.
Alien is a comedy, a freak. Anyway, so that brings us to the end of episode 5.
Indeed.
Alien versus Predator. Haven't played it in ages. We'll probably play it again.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe the campaign.
So we'll see you all guys next time.
Signal's clean. Range 20 meters. 18. 17 meters. 15 meters. And this is a big fucking signal. 12 meters. 11. 10. 9 meters. 8 meters. 7. 6. 5 meters, man. 4. What the hell? Let's run!